animal testing, should it be used or should it not?
On plan, animals should not be used for medical research and experimentation.
Here are some solutions or alternatives that we found for animal testing. The first one is organ-on-chip, which is a small device that replicates the dynamic environment of human cells in an organ. And some benefits are it's cost effective, it's a lot cheaper than animal testing, and it's catered to individual people. Each person can have their own system of organs, so each drug can be tested for each person. One downside is it's still in trials and it's not fully developed yet. Another alternative is human clinical trials. The best reason for this is it's very realistic to humans. You're going to get the exact response that humans will have to drugs. But some downsides are it's hard to get enough people to volunteer to have a large enough control group, and it could harm human life in the trial. You could die, you could become disabled from the drugs, depending on the drug. Another solution we provided was prisoner clinical trials, and again, it's realistic to humans. You'll get the exact response humans will have to a drug, but it may be considered unethical because you're treating on humans, and they're not always given the most ethical choice. But there are people readily available, but again, it could harm human life in the process.
I'm going to be speaking from the ethical lens. So the first major ethical issue with the practice of animal testing is the fact that the animals are mistreated during the testing process. The animals have substances rubbed into their skin, dropped into their eyes, and forced down their mouths, all of which can cause harmful and painful reactions in the animals. On top of this, they are offered little to no legal protection. There does exist an act called the Animal Welfare Act. However, the major issue with this is it actually offers no legal protection for some of the most commonly used lab animals, for example, rats, mice, and lizards. So the big corporations that are doing testing on these animals have almost free reign to do whatever they want with these animals. And finally, after testing is complete, animals are either deemed fit to be used for further testing, many are left disabled for the rest of their lives, and most are actually just killed and disposed of as soon as they are deemed not fit to be used any longer. Another reason that animal testing is unethical is the fact that oftentimes results do not translate from the animal testing phase into humans. We put too much faith in results that are gathered on animals, and it has been harmful for humans in the past. One example of this being a pain medication called Vioxx. Now, Vioxx was a great success during the animal testing phase, and the results that were gathered on animals led scientists to believe that Vioxx would be a good pain medication that didn't offer the same digestive side effects as its competitors. So after being prescribed and used in tons of humans, it was found to cause some very serious cardiovascular issues. And Vioxx is estimated to have killed about 60,000 people by causing heart attacks. Now, animal testing is unethical and unacceptable because we're mistreating the animals during the process of testing, and many times the results that the testing yields offer little to no benefit for humans at all.
I'll be speaking from the cultural lens. So, the subject of animal experimentation has been a major social issue in our modern world. It is also a closely divided subject. According to a Pew Research study back in 2009, it was recorded that 47% of people favor the practice of animal testing, while 50% of people oppose animal testing. What can influence someone's opinion on animal testing? In the Pew Research study, it was found that gender, ideology, experience with a specific animal, gender, and age can all influence your opinion on animal testing, along with animal rights groups and organizations, and social media. Social media influence can be an effective way to raise awareness about animal research and experimentation. One of these websites that talks against animal experimentation is PETA. Through their public rallies and also their social media platforms, they show the horrors and the bads of animal testing and why it's unethical and wrong. A study by Corin R. Cruz in 2010 argues that members of the public are more easily influenced by social media and how they're not well informed about social media. Through these public platforms and also through social media, people can learn about the horrors of animal testing and why it is unethical and wrong.
I'll be speaking from the environmental lens. So because of harm to our environment, animal testing cannot be done at the rate it is being done in the current day. 115 million vertebrate animals are tested on each year, leaving waste behind that only harms the 90% of the world population affected by polluted air. We cannot afford the waste left behind for millions of animals and the supplies it takes to test on them, as this waste is incinerated and left to pollute our water, air, and the habitats these animals are living in the first place. In the past, testing on animals has been the only way to get past life-threatening disease. But now with advanced technology and environmentally safer solutions, and there's no longer a desperate need to experiment on animals.
I will be speaking from the futuristic lens. So some consequences, if we do solve this issue, is a decrease in animal death, specifically unnecessary animal death, along with a better environment like Carter touched on. A lot of the waste and supplies just goes into our environment, includes our air, water. But if we use some of the solutions that we offer, there will be less pollution. And a decrease in human death, like Matthew touched on, a lot of the results don't carry over to humans that are done in animal testing, and often results in a lot of human death. If we do not solve this issue, again, there's an unnecessary death of animals that is happening, which is unethical. There's also a high cost of experimentation. The solutions that we offer are much more cost effective than animal experimentation. And then again, there's a lot of death in human trials.
In conclusion, although animal testing has brought us significant scientific progress, there are many available alternatives, as Bennett touched on, and animal testing is simply outdated. Animal testing can now be removed from scientific culture completely and without consequence.
All right. Thank you. Adam, give one specific way that your thinking changed as a result of learning about Nathan's finding.
Nathan's not our.
Sorry, Matthew, my bad. Sorry.
Oh,
Well, it would
Matt-
be interesting to think about that too. Matthew, my bad.
So initially, I was supporting animal testing because I believed the medical benefits were like essential. But after learning about the Vioxx example that he touched on, and also like how the animals don't have any protection under the law, and how they are basically like owned in the laboratory, how they're like rub stuff in their eyes, they like force to swallow things. I just saw like a whole new stance like from an ethical lens. I think it's like really like changed my view from the ethical lens. So
Okay. All right. Thank you, Matthew. Reflecting on your colleagues' work, which one had the greatest impact on your overall understanding of the problem that your group identified?
I would say Bennett. I originally also was kind of with the thinking that Philip's group had, where it's like, it's a necessary evil, it's bad, but it transcends ethics. But learning about how many more ethical, more cost-effective, and overall better like alternative solutions we had really changed my mind. Like, if we have all these other ways to test available to us, why like settle for evil like animal testing?
Okay, thank you. Bennett, what is an example of a compelling argument from one of your group's individual reports that you decided to exclude from your team presentation, and why did you decide to exclude it?
Yeah, we decided to exclude some of the environmental risks, as in like the futuristic risks, like if we don't do this in the future, it'll be big, bad, scary. We decided to talk about like the in the now environmental risks instead of the in the 20, 30 years environmental risks.
Okay. And Carter, what was the strongest counter argument to your conclusion that your team identified, and why was it the strongest?
I think that some of our solutions, like that Bennett touched on the ethical side of things, where like prisoner trials are kind of like those can easily be counter argumented with like the fact that they're just like that's unethical testing on humans. I mean, a lot of people think that, and it's true that humans are like more important than animals, and that can result in death. So.
Okay. All right, thank you. Another round of applause.